Hello, hello. Welcome to today's The Crypto Report. Currently August 16th,
Well,
2024. Happy summertime. Sorry, go ahead. Here with Josh, our co-host. Feel free.
yeah, hello. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. Looking forward to another beautiful summer weekend.
Yeah, it's winter in Brazil, so have fun. Anyway, let's
Well,
get into some of this price action when it comes to crypto. So obviously you've penned up a lot of the crypto reports in the last few weeks, and some of them have been good and some of them have been bad. Give me maybe a one sentence kind of summary of what to expect over the next 15 minutes here. Good, bad, indifferent. What are we thinking?
I mean, the markets look like shit. Um, Bitcoin doesn't look great. Ethereum looks like shit. Solana looks relatively better than everything else, but it's not looking great. And all coins have been decimated over the last, call it 4 months, call it a month, whatever time frame you want to look at. The majority of all coins are looking pretty terrible. So I think we'll chat about the majors, and then maybe we can look at a couple charts and see if we can find any relative strength. Otherwise, look at market cap bundled charts like others in total three.
Sure. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with just sitting in cash or if you're in spot positions right now until you get stopped out on a technical basis, which we haven't yet on that Bitcoin long that we took at 28K. It just means that maybe this isn't the right time to be entering new trades. And I think the hardest part here is that as the TradFi market has rebounded off of the last Monday lows, the BTC market, the crypto market, and BTC in particular, has not really rebounded a whole lot at all. As a matter of fact, the Qs are pushing up in towards some new higher highs, and they're very close to an all-time high, the S&P 500 as well. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is still trading below the 200 moving average, right?
Yeah, Bitcoin and the crypto market as a whole is, from my experience so far more rational than equities markets. It's nice for crypto that you can trade it 24/7, but you have to understand that any news events around the world have a direct and imminent effect and don't allow any time for traders, markets, algos to kind of think about and digest the news like you would with equities markets over the weekend, as an example. And so, any little thing from governments moving Bitcoin to, political or social unrest or global macro conditions, you know, really act as strong headwinds to Bitcoin. Whereas, yeah, like you just said, equities are breaking into potentially higher highs and looking fantastic, while crypto and Bitcoin as a whole grinds down.
Isn't it kind of ironic, by the way, that the crypto space was so adamant about institutional adoption and these ETFs, et cetera, and then once the ETFs actually got introduced, that BTC essentially had topped out, at least in the short term, right? We've been in a sideways range now since March, 158 to 160 days of basically just a sideways range. I know that we're slight down. Well, I can't say slight. We're down 25% off those highs, but still, this is a range that Bitcoin has found itself in. Isn't it ironic that after these institutional products have been made available, that BTC stopped going up?
You're not wrong, and there's definitely a lot of conspiracies around it with institutions unloading onto retail's head or whatever. But um, I'm far more bullish about it than most. We are essentially we're accumulating 7% off of the all-time high, or sorry, ranging 7% off of the all-time high, and have been doing so for months. I don't necessarily see the distribution play out like others do in the broader picture of the crypto bull market and in relation to equities soaring right now. And so it's interesting that that's where it stops, but I'm not surprised by it. I mean, today they just announced that funds were announcing their Bitcoin holdings. In just this year, there's 701 new funds holding Bitcoin assets on their balance sheet as a result of the ETF going public.
So you brought up a good point, particularly when it comes to Bitcoin. So we've been talking a lot recently about distribution fractals and what those actually look like and mean for a broader market cycle. And while from a technical standpoint, we have gone basically sideways for the last 150 plus days, and we have drawn down 25%. Understand first off that Bitcoin moves about 6% per day from peak to trough. So a 25% move, while is significant from a percentage standpoint, from a volatility standpoint, it's really not the end of the world for Bitcoin. Just throwing that out there. You're trading a volatile class. Expect volatility to impact both the upside and downside. But this does not appear, at least to me, to be a distribution fractal yet. Couple that with the fact that global liquidity is still ramping up. You have TradFi markets potentially pressing up into all-time highs within the next week or two. Typically, you do not see Bitcoin top out and break to new lows in that type of macro backdrop, right? You would expect that liquidity will find its way in. The only problem is they're now finding that liquidity is now finding its way into institutional products as opposed to just potentially spot BTC, right?
I mean, to be fair, most of those institutional products are spot assets, right? The main volume drivers are the spot ETFs for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. I mean, in the last week, Bitcoin has seen a net negative outflow from spot products of sub 50 million, I believe. But that volume and that liquidity is occurring on those spot products. I mean, at this point in the crypto markets, even with a 24-hour trading cycle, all of the liquidity, volume, and trading is occurring during U.S. equity hours, during U.S. market hours, because that's where all the volume and equity or liquidity is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't BlackRock the third largest holder of Bitcoin now after Satoshi and maybe Binance?
I don't know the exact, but they are definitely like top five.
And they're like projected to be the number one holder of Bitcoin over the next like couple of years. Like they're going to accumulate so much that they will be the number. It blows my mind, but also it doesn't, right? Obviously, institutions are going to get their hands in on anything they think they can make a profit off of. So, okay, not a whole lot to talk about here when it comes to Bitcoin. I don't think it's a distribution fractal. I don't think that this is going to break back down into a bear market low. Technically, we are in a bear market in Bitcoin. If you take the technical definition of a bear market, it's from highs to low 20%. We're down 25%. So from a technical standpoint, like a definition standpoint, this is a bear market for Bitcoin. Wouldn't that be nice if this resolved to the upside out of we consider this a bear market to a new bull market, right? But I will say, we have an original trade on BTC. We have averaged up into it. We started at 28K. I think a close below 50,000, which I thought was actually going to happen last Monday. That didn't happen. That's my stop out. I will take profit. I will just sit there and wait to continue to own stuff, at least in Bitcoin. But what I will say is that, not a lot of great things happen below the 200-day moving average. And Bitcoin is now trading below its 200-day moving average. And we've been here basically all month. So we're not looking to add here. I mean, you want to be optimistic and bullish, but I mean, I'm optimistic and bullish. I'm just not willing to throw more cash at this just in case we really do start to roll over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, I'm looking at in terms of kind of a cutoff level of 50K or where we want to exit positions for those spot buys at 28 and higher, is that are we going to put in a new lower low on the weekly?
Yeah.
If as of right now, we put in a higher low. So if we can close out at these levels, then I'm feeling a little more confident. But like you said, on the daily, I want to see a strong reclaim of that 60K range. I want to see us flip the 200-day moving average and then move through kind of the middle of the range before I start to gain some confidence.
Totally agree with you.
I'm going to target probably a 66K entry and take that to range highs and realistically at this point and the last 4 months, exit that short swing, and then if we do break to all-time highs, load up for the next move. But
100% agree with you. I think it's hands off right now, right? Just kind of just sit and wait. Just sit and wait.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's hard because even myself, I have a handful of altcoins, and every day that Bitcoin draws down 0.5% or 1%, even just during U.S. market hours, altcoins are taking a dive, and we'll look at some of those charts later. But so that's hard to go through, but it is what it is. It doesn't make sense from a TA perspective if your levels haven't been hit, that you just kind of got to grit through it and see what
you got to grit through it.
The rules you set.
Speaking of other coins, let's look at Ethereum really quick because Ethereum's really been the underperformer for this cycle. There was a lot of talk, obviously, about ETF coming in, and there was that ramp up as well. And the ETF's been approved, and arguably Ethereum has responded worse than any of the other majors here. Does this look like a buy to you whatsoever? To me, this looks like get the hell out. There's no reason why you want to be long Ethereum, particularly, which we're going to look at in a second. Relative strength-wise, other majors are looking incredibly bullish compared to Ethereum, which is one of the benefits of being able to trade crypto, by the way. You don't only have to trade these names against USD. You can trade them against other currency pairs, right? Bitcoin, Solana, BNB, stuff like that. And you can still be making a bunch of cash trading this stuff. But from a relative strength and absolute strength standpoint, Ethereum looks like the loser for this cycle. What do you think?
Well, I don't want to hear that because I got a big bag of Ethereum, but you're not wrong. Um, I think on the ETF approval front, I mean, one, we are down pretty dramatically below the point at which the ETF was approved. Um, Price action for looking at Bitcoin versus Ethereum is relatively similar. It's a little more dramatic because of the market cap and liquidity conditions of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We saw Bitcoin on the week or the day it got approved, and then that week, punch from 44 to 48, and then down to what 37, and then crawl back up. So, we saw a slight pump, retrace, and then grind its way up. On the Ethereum ETFs, spot ETF front, Ethereum is so far having positive inflows. Overall, when looking at the negative, like net positive inflows on a daily basis at this point, that's good to see. But yeah, like it's trading in no man's land right now. This is you don't touch this until
Why
at
would you?
least 3,200.
Right? It
Yeah,
just
no,
doesn't
it's
make
just it's
sense.
yeah, when you have things like Solana and others outperforming, I mean, even Bitcoin, the ETH BTC chart looks atrocious. The Sol ETH chart looks pretty good, even though it keeps getting rejected at that all-time high level. Um,
We're
so
gonna look at those in
we
a
did
second,
see
but
some,
look at how far Ethereum is below its 200-day moving average, and the fact that potentially
yeah,
the 200-day moving average is starting to actually keel over and slope to the downside. This is not bullish. I don't care what anybody says, like what not necessarily you, but what anybody thinks about the Ethereum like token in of itself. Like this is not bullish price action for Ethereum. You get the 200-day moving average. It takes a lot of time for the 200-day moving average to change its slope, man. And so to see this thing
yeah,
start to roll over and potentially start breaking to the downside is not encouraging with price trading below it, because obviously that increases the odds that this thing is going to continue to trade lower and lower and lower. So if you brought up Ethereum against BTC, you said it looks atrocious. We'll go ahead and pull that up really quick just so everyone can see it. And it does. I mean, arguably, since 2021, owning Ethereum against Bitcoin has just been the worst. And it continues to get worse. It's down 50% over the last almost 1,000 days. And it's probably going to get worse, right?
yeah. I would imagine so. I mean, we will really need to see some outperformance by Ethereum. I've made some speculation and some arguments in recent newsletters that Ethereum has been the laggard, even if we look back to the 2020 kickoff of the bull market for crypto when Bitcoin broke its all-time high. ETH was lagging several months behind in terms of the price action it saw, and then it saw the massive explosion. I'm just not sure that it will be able to do that again. And kind of the cope, you could say, would be that now there are institutional investors in the spot ETFs.
Sure.
I think it is the silver lining is that you literally have Larry Fink and the world's other largest asset managers shilling Bitcoin and Ethereum on CNBC, on Fox News, whatever channels they go on online as the two crypto digital assets that are going to make it and the only ones that they're considering. At recent crypto conference, a BlackRock representative said that, Solana, there is no option for a US based Solana spot ETF anywhere in the near future. They're only focusing on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So, silver lining is that you have institutional investors. Drunken Miller has allegedly said that he prefers Ethereum over Bitcoin as a trading vehicle, as an asset to invest in. But PA wise, chart wise, looks like dog shit.
Drunken Miller is a trader. And so he's looking at things that have
Yeah.
higher volatility. Ethereum and Bitcoin tend to move in the same direction, but the moves are going to be more exaggerated in Ethereum. So from a trading vehicle standpoint, it makes total sense to want to trade Ethereum more. But both of them, I mean, Bitcoin at best is sit and wait. Right now, Ethereum is get the hell out of Dodge. You brought up Solana, which arguably is the strongest major of this cycle. It's held up the
Yeah.
best. You look at Solana against like BTC or whatever, and you can see that there's some relative strength there. Obviously, you can see going back to the peak in December, we've gone sideways or minor up, right? So there's a slight skew to the upside in Solana. If we look at something like a Solana versus Ethereum, you can see that very much so Solana's outperformed Ethereum. So from these mega standpoints, Solana has really been the token to own. And there's some support here that we've been able, when we've talked about this level 100 times on this particular show over the last few months. for whatever reason the market doesn't want to let this thing drop below like 122.50 to 120. For whatever reason the market continues to buy it there. We're now currently trading below the 200-day moving average in Solana, but I would continue to assume that if we're trading above 120, you have to have a slight bullish skew to this. It's outperformed all the other mega coins, the majors, excuse me, not mega, major coins, and it continues to show support at 120. So if there's one thing that I had to make a bet on in the intermediate term of outperformance, it's probably going to continue to be Solana.
Yeah, and it makes sense in this case for Solana to, set some bids at support at that 122 level, and have those on the on the book, so that if you're sleeping and we get some flash crash because of a liquidity cascade or any other any news event, X company does, or X company or X country does this to someone else, that you can essentially capture a very quick 5 to 10% move
Sure.
and have a bit of a buffer, so that you can then move your stops up and
Who
make
knows?
some,
Who knows
ideally,
which
some
one is
quick
going to be
profit.
the one where it breaks out to new highs? It will eventually happen. Like Solana will I mean, I can't say 100%, but I'm very, very certain, and I have money on it, that Solana will be an all-time highs before not. And so you never know. You buy this down here at the 120, expecting a 5%, 5 or 10% move to the upside. Next thing you know, you're in the spot play that goes to all-time high. You just never know which one it's going to be, right? So I'm going to be doing the same thing. I bought the 120s last time. It was a rather small trade because I held the position too long before getting stopped out. It was still a win, but I'm looking to reload. I did not reload on Monday. So full transparency, not in a position here, but I'm looking at getting back in around 120, and we'll run it back again. Once again, though, I think that another kind of ironic thing, by the way, is that, as you had mentioned, Solana has no real plans of having any sort of financial institution ETF like come out, and yet it's performed the best over all the other ones. And like you said, conspiracy theory or not, I think there's something to be said about when the institutions start to get their fingers inside of some of this stuff. Trading it tends to be a little bit more choppy, volatile, and more difficult. Is that fair to say?
Yes, but I'm gonna be that asshole and push back. I mean, I do like Solana, and that's where I trade all my meme coins. But in Solana's case, it is a percentage of the Ethereum market cap. So one, easier to move a smaller asset. When it was at $8, we're talking single digit billions, which is a lot of money, but compared to Ethereum looking like crap and currently sitting at 250 billion market cap, easier to move smaller assets, especially with the meme coin FOMO. And then on the aspect of institutional investors, you have, as an example, SBF, who was the main funder of Solana, or one of the main backers. Um, you have all of his tokens frozen. So, there is a chunk of supply that is unable to be sold or moved. And so I think that definitely helps with, um, increasing that volatility, so
Sure.
that you can see these
Yeah.
massive swings up, and then, obviously massive swings down from 200 down to 120, and then back up and back down.
I'll be the asshole to say that a single $1 billion market cap is a small amount of money, by the way. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Solana.
okay. Well, yeah, I agree. But I'm also in these meme coin trenches where you get a,
Yeah,
a
I get it.
$50,000 market cap coin that can move.
Trying to find the one
You
that
know,
shoots off to fucking Pluto makes you $1 trillion. I understand. Binance, last one of the megas here. What do you think? We're trading below the 200 moving average, relatively the same type of price action as Ethereum. It's really drawn down a lot. We had a pretty good price target on this when we were first starting to buy this. We actually had bought this breakout, and it did hit
yeah.
all-time highs, but then we got whipsawed back down, right back into the middle of the range. Monday came and went. We're now down, at least at the bottom here, we're down nearly 45% from peak to trough, all-time high to currently. Right now, we're down about 28%. So once again, it's kind of following the Ethereum pattern here. What do you think?
I mean, I think it looks better than Ethereum, even just kind of where it's sitting relative to the 200-day moving average. I would be interested in taking, a very small position, if we can get a solid close above the 200-day moving average, kind of at that bottom range, where all these wicks are, and see if we can take it back up to that 600, 620 level. Um, no one talks about Binance on crypto Twitter. It's just not really something that pops up. But clearly, in this run, it has ground up, and you know, Binance was fined by the DOJ. Like, there was a lot of FUD. Everyone said this coin is going to zero. Like, it's backed by nothing. It's dead. CZ's literally in jail for another month still, and it made its way up. So I think that when this run continues, and I am personally of the opinion that it will, um, that Binance will continue to outperform. And so if even if we don't take it at the 535 level, 540 level, a fresh breakout of that previous run up at 615 is where I'd be looking.
Did you just tell me CZ's getting out of jail next month?
He's getting out real soon. That's what I'm
I think we
saying.
should buy some Binance coin just with anticipation of it popping because of the news that he's out. I think that sounds like a better plan than anything.
I think we should buy every coin, and CZ will get back to doing CZ things and
Perfect.
send this market up.
It was definitely a more fun market when he was a free man. I'll tell you that. Okay, we've gone through all of the majors here, and I tend to agree. By the way, BNB does look more attractive than Ethereum, but let's be honest, there's not too many things that look worse than Ethereum right now. So I do want to point out, you also said that nobody really talks about BNB, but from peak to trough here during this run up, this thing ran 250%. So it's not like it didn't move. It moved a lot. It's just like you said, kind of in the background right now. It's a coin that's been around for multiple years, going back to 2017 when Binance first really came out onto the scene. So it's just more of a mature coin and just not a lot of people talking about it. I get it. But yeah, I also agree. There's an opportunity here. Trade it back to the top side of the range, and just like we were talking about with Solana, you never know which entry you grab is going to put this thing back up into all-time highs. I 100% agree with you that at some point crypto market's going to make the pivot and it's going to just explode up because just the general relationship between TradFi and the crypto market are pretty correlated, and the TradFi market is screaming up towards all-time highs. So, okay, I don't know if you have anything. I mean, the market, let's be honest with you guys, cover your ears if you're under the age of 13, but the market looks like shit. The crypto market does. There's not a whole lot of opportunities here that really merit our attention. Josh, do you have like a single chart that might be worth it? If not, it's totally okay.
Yeah, so there's two things I want to talk about. One is that, and I think this is probably one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, but a name like Aave, we traded earlier on in the run, has been holding up relative to a lot of the other altcoins in the market, and hasn't plummeted from the highs that it made in the recent months.
AAVE correct? This is a massive
Correct.
stage one. Yeah, I remember we looked at this before. We actually had a trade on it. It made a couple bucks. It wasn't the big win that we expected, but was not a losing trade. This is a stage one. For all of you guys out there that are either inside of TTI or not, this is a massive stage one accumulation base, and you should be looking to trade this around the same way that you would anything else, right? Draw your fibs across the top and the bottom of the range, buy the breakout, follow the fibs to the upside. Absolutely. This is a massive stage one being built out. What would trigger this trade is, we'll say, above 123 on a close, maybe a little bit of volume. We want the RSI above the 50, and in a perfect world, we want to see the 200-day moving average start to slope to the upside along with AAVE closing up here. That would want me to get very long. This is a 10% ADR. This is a fantastic trading vehicle. Josh, I'm 100% on board with this. It's just too early, right?
Yeah, agreed. And I think if we're going to see Aave outperform, given that it is Ethereum-based DeFi, then we're going to need to see something from Ethereum. And so we really need to kind of wait and let the leaders, pick their paths. Whether Ethereum is going to keep going sideways, drop down further to that $2,000-$2,100 level, or actually pick up its boots and fucking do something.
I love this setup, though. I will tell you right now, this has piqued my interest, and I'm going to, as soon as this is over, I'm going to write it down, and we're going to set some alerts at 123 and get long this above it. So anybody watching this, getting long, I'm telling you, I'm getting long AAVE USD at above 123.
Front run it.
Okay, what's the next
yeah,
one?
I mean, I was saying, Aave is good because if you look at any other altcoin chart, it has been down and to the right for the last 4 months. Aave has stayed in this accumulation range and continued to chop, so we like that.
That's called
The other one
relative
isn't
strength,
an
baby.
asset. Yes, sir. The other one is actually Others, exactly how it sounds, and it is looking at the entire crypto market cap, excluding the top 10 crypto assets. And so it kind of gives a better idea of the state of altcoins when we don't have to look at Solana,
Oh,
BNB
total.
as an
I got
example.
it. I
Of
thought it
those
was a
names.
coin.
Oh no,
Excluding
sorry, no.
top 10.
It's the total.
Got it.
Excluding top 10, and it kind of really tells a story of how beat down altcoins have gotten. I'm of the nature that we're gonna chop along this 200 week moving average, specifically looking on the weekly chart, just because it's a lot of canvas to look at. I think we're gonna chop just below or just above this 200 week moving average until Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana can kind of figure out what they want to do to focus on Bitcoin. If we see Bitcoin finally break to new highs, then I think we're going to get that that push similar to 2020 that we saw, 2020 and 2021. The newsletter I wrote this week specifically looked at this, and we looked at the price action from previous runs to this current one, and it's eerily the same. Off of bear market lows, others runs up anywhere between 300 and 400%. It redraws back down to the 200-week moving average, drops here, and then goes on to parabolically fly. And so,
I've never
if you're in
seen this
TTI,
ticker before. This is a fantastic ticker.
yeah.
Absolutely, you can
And
see
so, yeah,
where it makes sense, where potentially alts are going to start finding support. Look at the VRVP on the right hand side as well. I mean, you have some massive support in the 130 to 120 billion range, and it just coincides with kind of this level of resistance. Like you said, maybe a quick pop down below the 200 moving average before the next rip back up. I don't know if I'd wait that long, but this is a fantastic chart really quick to illustrate why we don't like to buy things below the 50 RSI. Typically, when things break below the 50 RSI, things tend to be really nasty, and we are currently trading not only below the 50 RSI, but within a bearish momentum regime, which should give you the same sort of price action as what we would traded through back in 2022 and beginning of 2023. So, as Josh just said, maybe wait for a positive resolution, right?
yeah. And I mean, even if you want to, you don't have to use log. If you just scroll back on your chart and look at, call it 20, Jan 2018 to
Yep.
September 2020. Through auto on, we're seeing the exact, like eerily the exact same price action. 300% run up from the lows on others, on total market cap excluding top 10. Massive drawdown like we just saw. Chop around the 200-week moving average, and then of course we had a run up which was muted by the COVID crash, and then the continued run up into literally a 10x
Sure. Yeah.
in market cap
Yep.
for total 3.
Listen,
Or
a
for,
lot,
sorry,
a
for
lot of
others.
this comes down to global liquidity. For anybody listening to
Yeah.
this, global liquidity plays an enormous role with how these risk-on assets are going to move. Because when global liquidity is deployed into the markets, it permeates through it, and there's a relatively large portion of it in bull markets that finds its way into the riskiest parts of the market. And altcoins are referred to and viewed as one of the riskiest parts of the market. So there will be a liquidity pop. Timing it's incredibly challenging, which is why Josh is kind of mentioning back in 2020 we had the same sort of environment. We had all of this cash just thrown into the system. It's going to find its way into the more risky areas of the market. It's how this stuff works. So trying to time it is going to be pretty difficult, but you're absolutely right. This is a fantastic chart that kind of shows that altcoin season. Is it back? Is it not? I think right now it's fair to say it's not, but it's also closer to the end than not, right? I mean, that's what this shows. Should be preparing for a
Yeah.
potential pivot at some point.
Exactly. I think if we can see the others chart get above, call it 225, 240
Yep.
billion,
Yep.
then we can kind of start to put those feelers out, look for those assets, because you're still going to have some coins from ages ago, Dino coins, that aren't going to move, right? So you're still going to have to put the work in. You're still going to have to actually pick assets that are outperforming, showing relative strength relative to either altcoins, relative to Bitcoin, the majors. But I think that's when we can start to get a little more interested. Whereas now it's probably best to maybe enjoy the rest of your summer, touch some grass, and wait for better conditions. The
100% agree
asterisk
with
is
you.
that the Solana trenches, as they call them, has been a massive, massive value extraction for retail over the last 6 months. We've had hundreds of millions of dollars flow in and flow right back out into scammers, grifters, dev teams,
The worst stuff, yeah.
rug pulls. And so, because of the ease on Solana, but just in general in crypto now, to make assets, like there's a site called pump.fun run by one individual that allows individuals to make uh, shitcoins and meme coins from literally nothing. It has all the code already there, and requires the coin to reach a market cap of 69,420 to be able to
Jesus.
be bundled and sent to the broader Solana blockchain. That individual has made more fees on a daily basis than all of Ethereum and all of Solana individually.
That's
It is
crazy.
the number one revenue generating protocol in all of crypto, and it is a massive value extraction from individuals who are using it. And everyone's kind of starting to catch on that he's making, I think, $4 million a day in fees, the individual
That's
who runs it.
nuts.
And
Jesus.
that's, he's making hundreds of millions more in revenue than Solana as the entire blockchain is on a day-to-day basis.
That's
And
crazy.
so there is definitely some value extraction, and that kind of goes into the liquidity talk of, where is this liquidity and how is it going to be used. But as global liquidity ramps up, I expect that the market and you know the broader crypto market will as well.
Sure. So closing statements here. Not overly bullish, not overly bearish. If you're sitting in longs and you're not stopped out, sit tight. If you're looking to add exposure, maybe wait till we swing back to the upside here. Most major crypto coins are in slight drawdown. Well, let's just call it how it is, drawdowns. All of them except Ethereum look like they're holding up relatively well. Ethereum looks like the worst. We're just going to sit on our laurels and wait. And when things start to pick back up, we'll obviously throw capital into the market. Fair enough?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm still long-term bullish. I think the end of this year and into next year. But yeah, for the time being, let's enjoy the summer, watch the coins, make sure our levels aren't hit, and see what the market gets up to.
I'm right there with you. Guys, my name is Hamilton. I'm here with Josh. I appreciate the opportunity to yap at you on a Friday about crypto. It'll be a great last 6 months, fingers crossed, for the crypto market. We'll obviously be there step by step. If you're inside of TTI, feel free to hop over and read Josh's crypto report. He writes these once per week and throws trade ideas out there as well for things that are showing opportunities. So if you're interested in trading this type of stuff, feel free to hop over there. Read those every single week. Josh, as always, happy to talk to you about this stuff.
You as well. My pleasure.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody.